Hey guys, Kayla here from Journey Dog Training, and I am just here to do a couple quick demos of some different defensive leash handling skills for if you're working with aggressive dogs. So these tips are particularly important for anyone who may encounter aggressive dogs on leash for part of their job. So I'm talking to groomers, trainers, daycare workers, animal shelter staff, veterinarians, all of you guys, as well as someone who has a dog that might be somewhat likely to redirect onto them, meaning bite them while on leash, which is relatively common for those dogs that bark and lunge at other dogs or at people during walks. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is how you actually hold your leash. So I've just got my leather leash here, and what we're doing is we're going to loop our thumb through it like this and then close our fingers over that. This is super secure, but I can also drop it if I need, which is a lot better than something like this, where if I've got a dog coming after me and I'm trying to get away, or the dog is lunging, I could break my hand. We don't want to do that. So we're going to do around the thumb. You can also do around the pointer finger. Either way, I prefer the thumb. I just find it more comfortable. And then we're going to hold it near the belly. I'm a relatively small person, and I often handle pretty large dogs. So right near my belly button here helps give me a whole lot of strength if I need to brace myself against a dog. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it with this second hand as well. So I can really hold it here. And yeah, I've been able to handle some pretty nasty, gigantic mastiffs back in my shelter day just using this. And even when those dogs are on like a slip lead or just a normal neck collar. So holding the leash, that's step one. Step two, not step two really, but then another good strategy to know how to do is basically a string up. So this is different from something like a leash correction, which I don't recommend using in training at all. But a string up is basically if you've got a dog that, say you were handling a dog for an assessment or for grooming or veterinary procedures, whatever, you're going to be able to get that dog out and away from you relatively quickly. So rather than doing this to my poor demo dog, Barley, I'm going to demonstrate using my laptop bag so that you guys can see me doing this with a heavier weight. But again, I'm not going to demonstrate this with a real dog. And this is what I would recommend doing for you guys. I would recommend practicing with something relatively heavy, but don't subject an actual dog to this, all right? So I'm just clipping my leash to this. It's relatively heavy. So if I were handling this fake dog, Barley, take it. Get out of here. My actual dog wants to be involved here. So we've got the leash, we're holding it correctly, and if I'm handling this dog, say I'm trying to trim its nails, and all of a sudden it starts coming out after me, what I can do is I can basically hold the dog away, and you'll see I'm kind of trying to like get myself out and back, and the more leash you can take up using this technique, the safer you're going to be. So obviously with my 8-foot leash here, I can't really get the dog that far away from me, but if I can take in a lot more leash and then pull out away from me, I can keep myself a lot safer. So there are some great videos of people actually using this in action, particularly in shelter assessment environments. It's just something you need to practice, and it's not one that ever really feels very good. Often this will be enough to buy you enough time to at least get some help or maybe get away from the dog. You might have to continue holding the dog out and away from you while you get a door in between you and the dog, or someone else comes and helps. Bunch of different things that you can do here. All right, guys, so I've got my dog Barley back here for this one because it is not quite as violent. I'm not going to be stringing him up and away from me with this one, but it's one that I actually found myself using more often at the shelter because you can actually use it more easily before something happens with a dog, all right? So I've been calling this one a loop back. I know I learned it from Michael Shikashio's Defensive Handling for Aggressive Dogs course, which you can take at iabc.org. and I don't remember what he called it. And I used this one at the shelter all the time if I was about to do a physical exam on a dog that I just didn't quite trust yet. So that's the nice thing about this one, is you can actually do it kind of preemptively, versus that the other one is just, it's a lot harder. You can't do that until something bad has already happened. So with this one, what we're gonna do is I'm going to loop the leash around this post, and then I'm gonna come over here and I can do what I need to Barley here. So if I need to be checking his hind feet or handling him in a way that I'm worried he might come after me for, I can do this. And then what I could do if I need is I can actually pull him by pulling on the leash. I can actually pull him away from me. And you guys can use pretty much any stable object for this. For any dog that's not massive, you can use a table, trees, chain link fences, fence posts, pretty much anything that's solid, doors, kennel doors, all that stuff. You can go ahead and do this tie back here. So again, all it is, we're taking our leash, going around this post, and then if you were to take in tension or slack on this leash, I can pull this dog away from me. Good boy, buddy. You're such a good sport. And it's just me. The other really great technique that you can use, again, assuming you guys don't have like a catch pole or something, is you can actually have two handlers on a given dog so that you guys both would have 8 or 10 foot leashes or even longer. And then essentially what you can do is you can walk the dog in between the two handlers. And then if the dog tries to go after one handler, the other one can pull him away, so on. Again, that's kind of more of something that might happen if you guys are in like a sheltering environment or law enforcement, where you're more likely to be coming in contact with some dogs that are pretty dangerous that you really have to be moving. Alrighty guys, so that's all for now. Just a couple quick tips for handling some dogs that could be potentially dangerous. Again, the first one was just how to hold this leash. Second one was that string up technique. And third one was the loop back technique using the fence. So stay tuned. We've got all sorts of training and handling tips on our YouTube channel. We'll see you around.